Good Wednesday afternoon to you. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Ohio, and the snow is trying its best to melt off. I still have an inch of ice all over just about everything, but pressure washing season is right around the corner and I've got some work to do. On the agenda today is to correct some wiring issues that began to plague me towards the end of last season. Because of my stupidity, this 36-inch lance laid across the battery as such, and by virtue of that stupid mistake, I fried this ground wire that goes from here to the machine. On the job, I managed to jerry-rig it. Is it jerry-rig? Jury. I put a Band-Aid on it. And that got me through the job, but as you can see, it fried everything, turned it to dust. And so I'm going to rewire that and also extend this wire here because that's why this will not shut. Hence the reason this touched both the negative and the positive terminals. 8-gauge wire is not cheap unless you do it the way that I do it. Let me make a strong recommendation. If you buy the 8-gauge wire from the big box store, it's quite expensive and you have to buy it by like 100 feet. There are other variances of lengths that you can get. Nonetheless, it's expensive. So instead, find yourself at Harbor Freight, as I did, and pick up their inexpensive set of booster cables, and you will have 24 feet of 8-gauge wire for about $15. Pro tip. All right, so here we have everything we need to finish this little project. We of course have the battery cables that I got from Harbor Freight. I picked up 2 sets of the battery cable lugs from a big box store, and then the heat shrink wrap, which I'll show you all about that as well. In addition, I'm going to need a soldering gun and a little bit of solder. I brought both the positive cable with me and the negative cable to use for length. I'll go a little bit longer, and that should do it. So let's get started with this. For the record, I had to go back to the big box store and get a 1/2-inch shrink wrap for the lugs. The 3/8 was too small, and I'm just a goofball. So here you see me adding solder to the inside of the lug and having trimmed each end of the cable about a 1/2 inch. I stick the cable down into the lug and, of course, the solder, allowing that to set up probably, 10 or 15 seconds. And then having already put the shrink wrap on the cable, it allows me just to slip that right on there as such, pulling it down as far as you possibly can, and then taking that same torch, heat that up for about 3 or 4 or 5 seconds, and the job is done. Be careful not to burn yourself. You'll see me heat that up, and that's a finished product. Easy peasy Japanesey. Okay, I have my 2 wires all hooked up and ready to go. And one of the benefits of going with the booster cables is that you have 4 clamps if you ever need them. Have the excess wire already bundled up, ready to put into storage. And let's go and connect these wires to the rig. Okay, I now have the cable correctly mounted to the rig, ran back to the battery as it should be. I also have the new hot wire hooked up from the battery to the fuse box, and there's plenty of cord there, or cable rather, so it works fine. And guess what? I get to put my 36-inch lance back in here without fear of it shorting out the system again. All right, so there you have it. Easy enough, not a big deal. Let me say something very quickly as we kind of wrap this up. Someone was asking me recently, or mentioning to me, that they were planning to take their rig to a shop to have what I believe to be fairly minimal work, simple work. Of course, that's relative. There's lots of things that I can't do that a real mechanic would think is simple. So I'm not criticizing anyone, but I will say it is of a necessity for anyone in our industry to be able to do some minor things. That's minor work. The last thing you want to do is get on a job, have a malfunction, and have to abandon the work, hit the eject button, and take it to a shop to have something minimal done. Not only is it embarrassing, but it's unprofessional. Years ago, in my mid-20s, I'll be 51 next week, I began buying rental properties. And over the years, I've bought and sold a number of rental properties and currently own rental properties. And what I learned very quickly is that if I had to pay someone to fix all the damages in a home or the repair work, I wasn't going to make any money. So YouTube is my friend, and I have friends who are my friends who have shown me how to do things. And that has allowed me to save a lot of money. So I want to encourage you, make YouTube your friend. If you don't know how to do something, YouTube the crap out of it until you do, and ask for help. So, hey, I really appreciate you hanging out with me in the garage and getting some things accomplished. And if you have found this video to be helpful, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell tab if you'd like to be alerted to future videos. Hey, I really appreciate it. Remember, in everything you do, always have fun. Mike, out.